I don't remember what you said to me when I left that day. If I would have known you would never come back, I'd stay. Oh, I'd stay. Your eyes, dark and dead, your eyes. I never noticed, but your eyes are dark and dead. How could I know when I couldn't look back? I couldn't look back 'cause my burdens were full and I never could check on the life that you lived 'cause my life was so hard. That's what I said. But now I don't know how I thought that. Looking back, I don't know how I thought that. If you're just a memory, I just don't know how I cope with that. I cannot touch you, I can't really see you, I can hear two songs simultaneously on my end, and it just stopped. That's good. That was really bothering me. Sorry, but there was something going on. Yep, see, there's some double talk here. There we go. All right. Getting rid of the double talk. Flawless, as usual. Everybody, flawless. Look, you know, after the 500th time, you really get this crap right. So that would have been a great song. We can listen to it at the end of the show. Welcome back to HVAC Shop Talk. My name is Zack. We're here to have wonderful conversations. We're here to enjoy our lives to the very fullest. I was almost full, but by the end of the show, I think we'll be at our fullest, I believe. So we have, let's see, we have Zack in the chat, but it's not me. It's a different Zack. And we have HVAC Overtime is in the chat and on the show simultaneously, which is pretty good. It's like a real David Blaine sort of thing. We have Josh Matthews. This song is not funny or HVAC related. Hey, that's true. That song was depressing, non-HVAC stuff. But, you know, you can... It's my channel, right? So, okay. Curious HVAC guy says, what's up, yo? Susie Dunn. Punk rock's not dead. I think punk rock will be Adam's department. That was more folk. I don't think it's rock. It's just folk. Mark Cotter had a question for Adam, and he can answer that in just a second. He's on here. We have Freon Leon, Clint Glasgow, Zach E. So we have Zach and Zach E. All right. So if you want us to see these chats, you can highlight HVAC Shop Talk by just typing that. I think it appears orange to me, so I can see it. Other than that, I have to do my special sponsor segment here. And I really wish I had more time because I just found this out. But EWC is actually doing some kind of new product. I will figure out what it is here. They just sent me the document like yesterday. Some kind of static pressure bypass, non-bypass. It's a non-bypass. It's going to allow dampers to open instead of a bypass. That's what I understand from first looking at it, but I'm not positive, so that's why I had to read the paper. But just in case, here's EWC. Get their app. Forced air zoning. You can be the best forced air zoner in the entire world. Use EWC, and then you also have people who answer the phone when there's a problem, which is important. And those people are in the same country, which is helpful because accents are difficult to understand. I'm sorry. Beckett BK 17 and 22 condensate series pump. If you put condensate in one end, it will shoot it out the other end, and it'll get it far away if you don't have fall. So that's what Beckett pumps are all about. They've been around for, it's like 500 years or something. That's not, I don't know. We have Navac, the NTB7L. Navac puts batteries on everything. I even suggested they make the battery-powered battery charger, which is a battery transfer energy device, and they have not yet answered that phone call and won't call me back about anything since then. And that's Navac. You can get their other battery-powered products, including their new tubing bender. We have Yellow Jacket. It's A2L compatible. Well, this particular recovery machine is. And I think they're Their Swager's probably A2L compatible as well. So just go figure there. And TrueTechTools.com. Use the Shop Talk discount code to save 8%. Okay, that's all good. I think we're all accounts receivables going to be happy there. Without further ado, this is Adam. Adam, welcome to Shop Talk.
How's it going?
Adam was just on 4 years ago. I know you were on here. I don't remember if it was live or not. Actually, the last time, because it was like it was like three of us. I think Beaver was on there and somebody else, and it was like this afterthought sort of thing. But I turned it into an actual podcast, so I could, because if I do a podcast, then I could take the rest of the week off.
Yeah.
So I just use it. For educators, Bergman said he does that too. He uses the same article like 7 times.
Yeah.
So just
Brian
keep that
does
in mind.
the same thing.
Yeah, just recycle or upcycle or something like that. So how's it going, man?
Pretty good. Staying busy. It's been a long time, but yeah, you're right. It doesn't seem that long, huh? Since I've been
It doesn't really seem. You know what? I think to make it sound longer, I think about the last overtime show before you guys took over overtime was like 24 or 25 or something like that, and y'all are on like 200 and something now, right?
Yeah.
So just going week by week.
And we still we still run it fast and loose,
Like fast and loose is sort of what the folks are looking for when they tune in, and that's what we were talking about before. That you ruin it with educators.
Yeah.
You ruin the fun by bringing educated people in to speak on educated topics. Right, but
I enjoy it. I actually kind of use it as a learning platform for myself. You know what I mean? Sneak a little education in my nights, my Friday evening.
I think that's and that's what's so tricky, because people that tune into overtime show a lot of times they like the back and forth. That's what they tune in for. So you sneaking in education is very clandestine. It's very difficult to actually, you got a guy coming in there like we were talking about. I can't remember his name again. The Energy Conservatory. I should remember because it's Captain Rogers.
Steve
Rogers. I should remember that now that I think about it. And the guy's brilliant. And you're learning so much. And I'm just like you. Whenever I have a guest on the show, even yourself included, it's because I think I'm going to get something out of the conversation. It's very selfish, in fact. So I can only hope that it entertains somebody so I can continue doing it. So, I mean, I understand that. Let me ask you this. Of all of them, and you don't have to, which one actually paid off? You learned a tremendous amount that night. Doesn't mean he's the best educator. I'm just going to kind of take the heat off you a little bit. Just something like that particular night, it was like this guy just laid out the stuff and I learned so much.
I would say I don't know, one, but probably on the refrigerant side, either Brett Wetzel, Trevor Matthews, or Jamie Kitchen. All those 3 conversations were like, wow, they were like blowing my mind with some of the refrigerant flow and circuits, cycles, all that kind of stuff. It was pretty crazy hearing what, they know.
Jamie Kitchen, I feel the same way. I only interviewed him one time, and I think, I want to say was he Dan Foss?
Yep.
Dan Foss. So brilliant guy. And what's funny is I look back on what everyone out there watching, and he wasn't up there at all. He was near the bottom. I was like, this was the best conversation about all this stuff. But it turns out that a lot of these people already knew this stuff that I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, I'm learning so much. And all the other people yeah, we already knew this.
No, I didn't. I'm not going to say I've learned the most from them, but on the show, those were probably the most I've learned during the show. Like some of these other people, like Steve Rogers, Ed Janowak, those kind of conversations, I've learned so much, an incredible amount, but not on the show. I'm talking about in private talk.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's that networking, right?
Yeah,
networking paid off.
Yep.
Now, how much, because we talked about this before the show too, how much is getting out there and going to some of these events paying off as far as you meeting these people? Is it all from the events? Did you reach out to some of them? How'd you get them?
Some of the people I just asked, like Ed Janowak, he had no clue who we were. He didn't know the show. I'm just like, hey, do you want to be on HVAC YouTube show? He's like, yeah, well, sure. What time? So I sent him the link and he showed up and he was missing a tooth. And,
that's fantastic.
And he's like, well, I didn't know it was a video show. I thought it was a audio podcast. He's like, whatever. I'm missing a tooth. That's cool. He's like, no, he didn't tell me what it was about.
That's
Sorry.
fantastic. I mean, I like guys who just, if someone would invite me onto something, I would be like, what are we going to do here? But some of these guys, they just say, yeah, sure. They don't ask any questions. Like,
Yeah.
they don't even research what you've talked about in the past, which is good for me. But people come on the show, it's like, and they turn out to be just like, they're open, they're charismatic because they don't care. They're having a good time. That's a good question. Which one was the most fun of this the educator group? Because they're not known for their fun-loving good times.
Jim Davis.
Yeah, he seemed pretty cool when he was on there. That's the only time I've ever seen him on one of these type gigs was when he came on y'all's. And I was like, I'm not gonna say he's a weird-looking dude, but he's different looking.
Yeah, I mean, he gets a lot of comments about his hair for sure, that was probably one of my most memorable moments. We had him on the show multiple times, but the first time we were just randomly talking about Jim Davis, like out of nowhere. We're just like, so, hey, Jim Davis works for NCI Combustion. He's like the most brilliant guy, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden my phone starts beeping and Jim Davis is texting me. And I'm like, this is weird. I'm like, is this really Jim or am I getting spooked by somebody?
Yeah.
And it was him. And I'm like, do you want to come on and talk to us right now? He's like, how do I do that? I sent him a link. And he's like, I'm trying to click it. And then all of a sudden there he was sitting in his recliner,
That's pretty cool. Because you think these guys are guys that are somewhat inaccessible, except when you're doing one of these official type events. And the only time I can remember one of the guys that really made an impression on me was Don from Emerson, back when he worked for Emerson. He called into the show. I was like, I've never had one of these guys actually call into the show that are guests on the show. I always felt like, I put them on a different tier, not better than, but just behind a wall, so to speak. So I mean, I like that. It was really, really fun. He talked for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a long time.
Don is a super awesome guy. He's another guy.
Is great.
One of the nicest guys I've ever met. He's super genuine. He's interested. He wants to know about you. He's is eager to share his experiences and give advice on anything that you want to achieve, whatever. He's just a great guy.
Yeah, I liked him too. He was really down to earth. Felt like he was just another one of the guys. So some of the guys I do not feel that way. I feel like it's somewhat sterile sometimes. I'll have a list of their names after the show for everybody to go. I'm just kidding. That's so horrible. That's so horrible. No, that's how some people are. I'm sure, I'm not going to say it. Some people might see me as somewhat different than I picture myself, I'm sure. It's kind of funny. So there was actually I asked people they want to ask you anything beforehand in a post, and there was a couple of them, and I don't know if someone put something on in the last hour or two. I missed that, and I'm sorry. But we have, the first one was something I've also wondered. How does he keep his room looking like a hotel room? The room you're sitting in? I actually thought and this was your buddy Freon Leon, I think, put this down there. I was like, I thought the exact same thing when you came on there because I didn't recognize like the backdrop. But it said, this is like a really nice hotel. But it's your house, right?
It's just a bedroom. Yeah.
It's really nice. Is it a bedroom someone sleeps in?
Sometimes, yes. Not all the time.
Okay.
We have
is that like a bad behavior situation?
Kind of, yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. So it shouldn't be slept in, but
yeah.
But okay, I know how it is. Okay,
crap happens.
So you might end up in there. Don't look like a bad place to be exiled to. So that's pretty good.
I'm slowly turning it into my office. I'm hoping to at some point get rid of the bed, but I've just brought in all my bookshelf with all my learning materials over here. So slowly turning into an office, a legit office.
Like a lawyer. You got all your books behind you. See, I know stuff. And you just like point at the books. I've read those. Have you read them all? Be honest.
Not all of them. I've read quite a few though. So I quit drinking a few years back, and it gives me a lot more time to do things like learn.
What? So, I remember you drinking. When did you quit drinking? Because I seem to remember like you were drinking like in a hangout type situation.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a little.
It was a lot. No, it got to the point where it was around when COVID started, the beginning of COVID. It was it got a little out of hand, I think. I wasn't like on a daily basis where it was out of hand, but I would be like on a Friday show. By the end of the show, and I was like walking into walls, stumbling back in the house from the garage, So It got to a point. Actually, my last beer was a Guinness, and that was when we had Bill Spone from True Tech Tools on the show.
Wow. I think Bill Spone's actually going to be on the Misfit show tonight.
Yep.
Wow. That's something else. I've been drinking a long time. I had a problem when I used to drink, which was a long time ago before I met anybody on YouTube. It was an all or nothing situation. It was like we're gonna drink it all or nothing. So I just try to stick with nothing now, which is much better
Yep.
because it never ends up well. I don't want you ending up in that room anymore, Adam. And drinking leads to the room.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
I've got some bad looks. You smell like vodka. I was like, I didn't think vodka was supposed to smell, but it does, and she could definitely tell that.
Yeah.
You must leave now. Oh yeah, that's bad. That's bad. But it looks good. I like it. I just thought it was like the Four Seasons or something.
Thank you.
My mistake. But nice. You're in Chicago. Yeah, you're in Chicago. How's it working in Chicago? Do you enjoy it in there?
Not really. I'd much rather live in a more rural type setting if I had my choice, but doesn't work out. I don't know.
If you could pick anywhere, well, here's a question for the ages. If you could pick anywhere in the United States that you could live, where would you live? In the South, because I'm sure it's in the South, because we're very hospitable and it's warm down here and it's nice.
The South is nice. I just actually traveled to Tennessee. That's an awesome place in the Smoky Mountains. But I really like my great grandfather built like a little shack on a lake in Wisconsin. I would live in Wisconsin on this lake. That would be like my dream. Like even just in a little shack.
Now, Wisconsin, we had family up there, and every town, there's no normal town names in Wisconsin. They were from Oconomowoc, which was near the Pabst Blue Ribbon factory, because they could drink with the best of them. So it's beautiful up there, but it's very cold, and I don't know. We're getting older. We're talking about getting older, and I can definitely tell when it's very cold outside. I do have some joint pain. So I kind of thought about that because my wife wants to move to Montana because she watched Yellowstone one time, and we're gonna go up and I guess be cowboys or something like that.
You said she watched it one time.
No, we watch it a lot, but once you watch it the first time, it pans out over the mountains. I want to live there. That's great. And I'm pretty sure there's more to it than just that place. But yeah, it looks really, really nice. Well, that's fine. I figured you'd choose the South because it's warm, and Tennessee's got no income tax.
That's
would nice.
Be nice. That's
really nice. That's the opposite of Illinois.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, because you go to, I don't know what the median home price is up there, but it's like a third of that probably in Tennessee or less.
Yeah.
I would assume. So you'd be like the mayor of all of whatever town you move to. De facto mayor.
Yeah.
I'm Adam. I'm from the north. Great. Another northerner. Welcome. Buy your big house. That's all we did coming up in the trade was guys that were moving from the Northeast that took their ample money compared to our southern prices and just had the best houses.
Yeah.
Kept us in business, though. So, I mean, who cares? It's fine. Funny, I figured you'd join them. Well, here's our other question, which is a more HVAC-related question. It is, what are his thoughts on Aeroseal? Will it or should it replace conventional duct sealer? That sounds great. We don't have to seal the ducts at all. We can just spray crap in them and it's finished.
I really like Aeroseal. I've been subcontracting it out in certain projects on either, I have a couple houses that they have comfort issues, and I've been doing like more kind of paid consulting, if you will, kind of like getting paid to actually diagnose serious comfort issues in people's houses, which I've never gotten into that before in the past. And one of the big things I found on these older houses is they have a serious, even though the ducts are inside of the envelope, when you have a 2-story or 3-story house, if you have 30 or 40% duct leakage, you're not getting your airflow from point A to point B,
Right.
So
absolutely. Yeah, I've seen a lot of guys, especially in the commercial environment, say, well, it doesn't matter. It's in the conditioned space, but every crack lowers the pressure in the duct. So the periphery gets the least amount of airflow possible. Yeah, I can definitely understand that. And so what led you into going in that route, more of the performance route?
I got into it by actually listening to Gil Cavey on HVAC Uncensored.
I don't see how sales plays into this.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I like Gil.
he had Nate Adams from HVAC 2.0 on,
All right.
and I remember it, very vividly. And I called in. I had a question for Nate, and then I just started kind of following Nate, and that kind of got me into. And then I started meeting all these other people: Jenry Garcia, Christopher Hughes, you name it, Steve Rogers, Bill Graber, all these building performance people, and I'm just learning as much as I possibly can. Michael Hausch, he's freaking brilliant. Michael Hausch is one of the smartest people I've ever met.
He's got an awesome voice too.
Yep.
I like his voice, Michael Hausch. He's been on Overtime as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Michael Hausch. I never talked to him. I was going to talk to him one time, but then it's one of them things where, I don't know, life got in the way or something. I don't know. But Corbett Lunsford is another one I thought of as soon as you were talking about it. That sounds like something Corbett would do, like the consulting route. So what's it like to go from fixing to consulting?
Well, I'm kind of consulting with the hopes that they fix and pay a lot of money to actually, because if you have like serious issues like that, it most likely is going to cost some serious money to fix. I grew up in the trade, and these big houses with bedrooms over garages. When I remember when I was 18, 20 years old or whatever, they say, "What can I do? This room is uncomfortable. It's the master bedroom." Well, the ductwork kind of sucks, and it is what it is. I mean, there's really nothing you could do now. The house is built, Well, now I know that there's a path to kind of figure that out, and it doesn't always involve throwing a mini split at the room either. You could actually solve it without having an ugly piece of plastic hanging off the wall,
I'm going to take away my answer then. That was well, where's the mini split going to go? Okay. So all right, let's talk about that. So we have one of these zones where someone's got a finished room over the garage, and they have a 4-ton HVAC system for you, I guess, air conditioner with a furnace, and they have their whatever it is 8-inch duct run out there, 475 equivalent length or something. What are you looking? How are you looking to solve it, or how have you solved problems like that in the past that aren't mini split solutions?
So I look at it a couple different ways right off the bat. I'll look at I kind of do like a home assessment where I'll do a blower door test. I also do kind of zonal pressure testing, not with the blower door, but actually with the blower motor of the furnace. I guess that's not really called zonal. It's more like pressure mapping to see if you have balanced supply and return in each individual room. And then I do an airflow test with the TrueFlow grid, look at all pressure drops on the system as far as filter, evaporator coil, and your total external static pressure, and what your actual true airflow is of the total system airflow of the system as it's running right now. And then when I do a load calculation, I try to figure out what do I actually need? How many BTUs do I need room by room? And then you start breaking that up with airflow and look at, well, do we have the correct size equipment? And even if we use the same equipment, how much airflow should we have for this room to make this happen? A lot of times the ducts are too small for the existing equipment, but might be a good size for smaller equipment. And then you start looking at duct leakage, like measure the airflow at the room and compare that to what the total system airflow is. So you're comparing delivered to total, and you could kind of start figuring out duct leakage without a duct blaster.
See, I always liked the idea. David and I were talking about that, I know, in years past. So in your experience measuring capacity at the equipment compared to capacity at the room, how big of a difference on average you say it is percentage wise? So how much of a loss?
Most of the time I'm seeing, if it's like a system that's not sealed, something prior to 2010, 30 to 40%, easy.
Tremendous. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's tremendous, okay, you got your 4-ton, you're getting 2.2 tons or 2.5 tons in the house, and then depending on where the cracks are, you're creating either a negative or positive pressure in the home. When you kind of lay out what you have to do, whether it's drop the tonnage, seal the ductwork simultaneously, because if you seal the ductwork, all of a sudden all the air is getting in there,
right? And
then you have to account for that problem potentially. So how do you come up to the people and say, hey, this is going to cost you $1 million to do all this stuff? How do you?
Well, I usually
they must have called you
like
knowing that.
that was one of the things that I've, kind of learned from HVAC 2.0 is give them a menu of repairs and be like, well, listen, this is kind of what I found that's wrong with your system. I'm not necessarily saying you have to fix all of these to make things work right, but if you only choose one of them, the odds of you actually making a difference are probably fairly low. You could try to start at the top and work your way down the list until you actually achieve some, success. Um, but and you give them like odds of success. Hey, if you do this, this, and this, you're probably going to have some pretty good results.
So maybe if you were to come up with like 10 things, would you say if you're going to do number 8, you should probably do 5 and 3 to
Yeah.
do this group of items, or else it might have unintended consequences. Uh, Filtration wise, do you often upgrade to filtration?
I used to always like offer it to people, but now I don't even offer it anymore. If you're getting a system installed by me, 100% installs that are happening by me it's going to be a big freaking media air cleaner, and that's it. You
I
don't
like
have a
that.
choice.
I like those. I like having those, and it doesn't affect the system a whole lot as long as you account for it. What about the UV lightsabers? All sorts of those things, ionizers, laser beam, Star Wars, whatever. Do you
So
do any
that
of
was
those?
something we used to sell a lot of air scrubbers and used to do a lot of blue lights in that back in the day. I did HEPA bypass filters with PCO, um,
Mm.
PCO filters or whatever you call them. I don't know. I never really got into the I waves in that, but I took a class. We had John Ellis on the show. John Ellis works for
Mm.
Daikin. He has his own indoor air quality, training. And I learned so much from John Ellis. And he went through all these different studies of all the pollutants that these different air quality products add to the air. And now I'm a believer in the holy trinity of indoor air quality: humidity control, filtration, and what's the last one? Humidity and ventilation. I'm sorry.
So let's go to humidity control then, because I had another comment on my YouTube because I often talk Bosch and humidity control. How big of a responsibility is your comfort system to solving your humidity issues? Because that was what the comment was about. It was almost like it's not really responsible for that. If it happens to, it's okay. My understanding was it is responsible because most people don't have an alternate way to control humidity.
Well, I think that's like a tricky thing because it can be like a bigger problem with these newer houses when things are tighter in that, and then you're not having runtime. If you're not running your system, you're not dehumidifying, period. So I think like ancillary dehumidification is becoming like more and more almost like a requirement, especially in humid climates, right? Um, but if you look at, I actually had a discussion with somebody on LinkedIn today, Tim DeStasio. I don't know if you've been following him at
I'm
all.
not familiar with him. No.
Michael Hausch wrote a tech tip about how do you size a dehumidifier by using the latent load and basically not what dehumidifier manufacturers say is use square footage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we were kind of going back and forth, and we were talking about, you size it. There's like a formula to size it for latent capacity, but your latent capacity in a lot of places is not actually your design conditions for air conditioning. In
Right.
places like the Midwest, it's like shoulder season. It might be cooler. Like my design conditions here are 89 degrees. Outdoor temperature, that's the 1%. But my design conditions for humidity, the 1% humidity might be 79 or 80% or 80 degrees outside. I'm sorry. So it's actually when it's cooler out. So you need to kind of account for that.
That's a good point because when your AC in the middle of summertime, we have a lot of humidity here, but the AC is running all the time. So you have the effect of the dehumidification of the evaporator coil. But when it comes to the time we're entering now, actually, fall, you'll have humid, mild temperatures. So, I mean, the only way to really, I mean, here, let me diverge for a second and ask you this. Multi stage variable systems, they ramp down, they run longer. They'll run longer when there's less call for them to run. At least they'll run longer than a single stage system. With these multi-stage systems, when they're running at this low speed, low airflow, Are you concerned? And this is kind of not exactly the same idea we're just talking about. Are you concerned about airflow in the periphery of the system when it's running at low speed constantly?
Meaning,
Meaning that your ductwork is X size, your system capacity and airspeed has gone down with the
no,
same ductwork.
no. That's one of the first things I learned from ACA is, and I took like an online e-learning thing with Jack Rise, their old trainer before Ed Janowak. And that was one of the first slides that he had on the screen is there's scores of things to worry about when designing a duct system. And low velocity through a duct trunk line is not one of them. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Was there a further explanation on it, or just
that was
don't
it.
need to worry about it?
Don't
Man,
worry
I
about
wish there was one more line about it.
it. Yeah.
Because I could see that. I could see that with low velocity, it's assuming that there's not much load, at
Mhm.
least sensible load. So if you're treating an overall humidity problem, I guess it will end up equalizing. And I don't know. It's interesting right there. So not an issue. And I guess you do a lot of variable stuff, right?
Yep.
So you've seen it firsthand. Do you often zone your variable stuff?
Um, I've been trying to get away from zoning if I can a little bit, and that's just because I've been actually paying more attention to how a system is running with like one zone when one zone is on. Um, and I know there's systems out there like Train makes a really nice system. I think Carrier has a really nice system too that will kind of negate the downside of zoning. But zoning has its place, and I think if you have an older house, it is an option I'll talk to somebody about. But if you're doing something from scratch, I think 9 times out of 10 you can get away with not zoning a system if you design it correctly.
So you're more of a one zone, one system?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. If you're going to do one zone, I mean, that's the perfect zone instead of zoning. A lot of times we'll have something like, and I assume it's the same where you are, where you're zoning two very different areas, upstairs, downstairs, two wildly different loads. And it's a calculated compromise. So having one system is definitely
And
the best way to go.
there's times where there's no way around it though. You'll have like a room where it's all windows, like a porch or something like that, a glass solarium, whatever. You're gonna have to do something. But that's a mini split, right?
Big old mini split. Yeah. Maybe one of the floor mounted ones right next to the door.
Yep.
Have you ever put in one of the floor mounted mini splits?
Yep.
Opinion of them? I've never done one.
Um, I think they're nice, but I've never had to go back and clean one, and I question how you would hose that thing out. I've
Yeah, that's a good question. Do you go back and clean them, or you just put in a new one?
that's a good question.
I assume because my gree. I just make this up. My gree training said just whenever you have a service call, just take a new gree out there, undo it, put the new one up there. Low opinion. I have a low opinion of mini splits. It's kind of funny. I've seen them last a long time, and some of it's kind of just me playing around. But how often do you use quote unquote mini splits? The group of items, non-ducted,
Right.
or they have ducted stuff too now that I still call mini split for whatever reason. But you know what I'm saying? It's some VRF stuff, home VRF stuff.
Usually, I'll use a mini split when I'm working on a house that has an addition where it's like a one-room addition. I'll do a mini split like that. Or if it's a small addition but multiple rooms, I'll do a ducted mini split and use a nice filter because I think that's one of the biggest downfalls of mini splits is their filtration sucks on them and they become big balls of mold.
That's true. They have the same filter that a window unit has, basically.
Yeah.
A lot of the standard ones. Oh, that's true. What about your the air handler, the ducted air handlers? And I know we've done them before, but it has been a long, long time. Are they filtered the same way? Is there a filter slot in the ones that you have done? I'm trying to remember.
No, it's like a weird setup. And honestly, I don't know if there's a kit that you're supposed to use or what, but there's like this weird bolt pattern thing on the return side. And I either bolt right to, their flange and it's like a weird setup and then just seal around it, make a transition to a nicer media filter. Or I've also at times just removed their flange altogether that's bolted on and just screw right directly to the side of the unit.
Oh, a cowboy.
Yeah.
You're a cowboy of HVAC.
Rules are made to be broken.
I don't know if I believe that you believe that. But no, it's weird because they were talking about it before the show. You were a punk rock guy.
Yeah, back
That's
in the
anti-establishment.
yeah.
And now, I mean, like, all right, let's say you are 40 whatever years old. I'm guessing if you're 30 something, I'm sorry, but I thought you were 40 something.
I am 42.
42. All right, good. So punk rock day, whatever you were, 19, 17, 21, whatever it was. If that guy saw you now, what would he think? Just out of curiosity. I remember me at 17. I'd be like, you better not be doing the same crap.
Yeah. I don't know. I probably wouldn't believe what, because like, what do I do in my free time? I write articles and read books. That's about it. I go to my kids' events, band and football. But yeah, I've become pretty straight laced when it comes to following rules, especially with HVAC. It's, um, I was always like, "Hey, do what you want. Let's do this. We'll do this here. We'll break the rules there." And now it's kind of I'm following it, dude. I'm doing manual J, S, D, T. I'm
Even T.
even T. I'm
Yeah.
following the rules. I'm straight laced on this stuff. And I'm actually when I'm installing stuff, I'm paying attention to the sensible heat ratio and I'm setting up the airflow for the sensible heat ratio of the house. It's not like I'm in the Midwest, so I'm using 400 CFM per ton. And it's a lot of work. I see why people don't want to do it,
Yeah.
but like it saves me in callbacks. I'll tell you that. Like systems run 100% better than if you're just winging crap.
I feel bad. Is T registers? Is
Yeah,
manual T? Okay.
yeah, it's terminal units, I believe. It's yeah.
All right. I was thinking to myself. I said, I feel like I've looked at T. Yeah. S is equipment selection. Something like that.
Yep.
If I'm wrong, just don't say anything.
Yep.
I know the other ones. So when did that occur? What about your past self who would be? I don't know what you would have done back in your punk rock days. Was be creative. I'm just gonna picture the Sex Pistols band, and that's the best punk rock band I could think of offhand. What happened that turned you into the straight laced guy?
I got pretty sick and tired of dealing with issues that like I don't know if you've ever done this, but like over the year, I always had pride in my work, and my systems always looked nice. Like I bend my pipe nice. I pride myself in my sheet metal skills and that everything looked nice. But then at the end of the day, when you go and set up the airflow and you test your static pressure in that, and you're like, man, this is running at like an inch of static.
But it's beautiful.
What the heck is going on here? You know what I mean? Like it
What a
looks
beautiful
nice,
piece of crap.
but it's running like garbage. And I just like it was depressing. At the end of the day, I was like, man, I just feel bad for doing this. And then the TrueFlow grid came out, and my life changed. I started measuring airflow on every system. I'm like, wow, everything sucks. Everything out there sucks.
Yeah, I've always wanted. One day I'll get one of those TrueFlow grids because there's more. I have some non HVAC things I like to do with it as far as measuring CFM of certain power tools like leaf blowers and stuff. It's stupid, but it's something I want to do. That's cool stuff. And thinking back, I played music when I was a kid too, in a rock band or whatever you want to call it. But you can be the same way about music. I mean, you can play whatever music it is, and you say, well, I played rock music, so therefore I can't do this when I'm older. But very, very good attention to detail with that, too, really. I wanted to get all that stuff right in the same way that you're talking about getting your stuff right now. So I can see there's a parallel there.
But it's like a kind of known for being anti-establishment type deal, and now it's ACA. ACA is like the most straight-laced, freaking follow the book, 2 inches thick. Like, hey, you better do this or you're wrong.
Well, my dad, growing up, he had this wall of books. Everything from there's register catalogs with training in them, all these books like that. And for the longest time, I could not have cared less about it. And I wasn't even like you. My stuff didn't even look good. I just didn't care in general. I was making my way to my better career. But I think family and kids come along, and all of a sudden the perspective has to change, and I think that facilitates a lot of it. It's like, well, I'm not going to be some kind of deadbeat. I mean, I want to try to be good at this stuff so these people don't look at me like I'm an idiot whenever I come home. To me, that was the biggest thing. And I know you got family, you got kids. Remind me how many?
3.
3 kids. And general age group? I don't expect you to give out
Two
information on your kids, but
2 teenagers and one that's gonna be 10 soon, so, all of them are getting to the age of being trouble, I guess, right?
is that is that what your prediction is? Are any of them going to be following the anti authority footsteps?
Um, my middle child is, he he's a punk rocker at heart. He doesn't know it yet, but he is for sure.
Does he know what it is really? It's
Oh,
because
yeah,
the
he does,
genre is still like
he does.
it's there, but it's not like it was.
I have a little I don't know what it is. It's a guitar made out of an old bedpan that was given to me. Somebody bought it off a hillbilly at a flea market.
Uh
Uh, he comes in and he starts playing a Rancid song on it. Like,
huh.
check this out. I'm like, pretty cool.
That is pretty interesting. Well, that's cool though. I mean, I
Yeah,
think playing music is a good thing. Anything like that, any skill set in that area, it may not make your living, but it gives you happiness that
yeah.
you wouldn't have otherwise. Do you still play?
No, not really.
Is that something you miss, or is it just like there's no time for that right now?
I do. I definitely. It was like a. I definitely miss it. I feel like it's a good outlet, for stress. It's a stress reliever. It gives you a way to channel things, and
Yeah.
definitely don't. I miss that for sure.
What do you do now? Because you run a business, you have children, so there's definitely stress to be had. So what do you do?
Recently I have been going for long walks at 4 o'clock in the morning and collecting my thoughts and listening to self-help books.
It's all over, man. It's all over. Listen to self help books. Now, look, okay. Self help books is such a big genre of stuff. Oh my, I'm not gonna remember the book, but David Richardson actually told me about the book, and it's a famous book, and now I can't remember it, but it's a world famous book about dealing with people, how to win friends and influence people. That's what
Yeah.
it was. So I read/listened to that in the car, and it was great. I really loved it. So, what are the type books that you listen to, so that we don't have to picture something that is more emotional in nature? I don't know what your picture
Yeah.
of self help is like.
The
I don't know.
last few books that I've listened to, which are super long, this one that I'm on right now is like 14 hours long from Audible, but Earl Nightingale, and I think he was around back in the I mean, it sounds like old recording, so probably the 50s or 60s or something, but he has a good handful of books, and they're powerful. They at least they are for me.
Now, give me some insight into this, because some of the stuff I picture these guys like yelling really loudly. It's like you can be the best you sort of thing, and that always turned me off. I always hated that.
Yeah.
So, what's this guy like?
No, it's the typical, like, if you could try to imagine a commercial, a voice from a 1950s TV commercial or radio commercial, and you know how they all kind of sounded the same back then?
Oh, I can picture it right now. Get the
That's
auto
who
light spark plug. You can get it right now. Going down the store. Yeah, I got you.
But he doesn't talk that fast. It's just like slower, and it's a very comforting thing, and it's a positive. I don't know. And I started connecting a lot of dots. I know you kind of went down the whole Christianity thing, where you're on a journey yourself, right? But I started connecting the
All right.
dots with what he is saying and the messages in his books, and like how it correlates to Christianity. So it's kind of
Oh, interesting.
cool. Yeah.
Well, that makes me curious now. So is it correlate, but it's not actually Christian?
He
Would you
doesn't
say?
doesn't doesn't talk about religion whatsoever. But
Interesting.
yeah,
You can, yeah, you can definitely separate them. I can see you like, I don't know, straining the religion out of the book. Like you could read the Bible and strain the religion out of it and just use it as self help if you really wanted to. But I don't think a lot of people can separate it like that for
yeah,
whatever. It's bound together no matter what, which is, I guess, the intent. But yeah, that's interesting right there. Judeo-Christian principles. That's our God bless America.
God bless America.
Hey, do you like the government?
Me, no. I
Oh,
mean,
great.
I used to be. I have tattoos of like American tattoos all over my arm. I have Uncle Sam. and the Statue of Liberty. I have a couple other ones, but like
Mhm.
that's kind of like the America that I grew up thinking was the real America, you
I
know?
got you. Principles of America. I
Right.
understand.
And
Yeah.
now you kind of have the mindset of like what Congress is and all this crap, and you're like, they're all crooks. Like I don't know.
Straight
So
up. Yeah. I agree with you. There's I don't know if that's something tells me that this is not like a news cycle. This is how things always are, but because we're in experiencing this current time, we think it's something new and different. I have a feeling that the corruption goes back. I mean, Biden's been around for a long time.
yeah,
He was lying back in the '88 election.
yeah.
And there's a lot of weasels out there. Everybody, both sides, weasels everywhere. We won't go down. I just want to check for the punk rock part, but yeah, okay, we
Yeah,
agree on
no.
that.
I'm a lot of I think probably for generations there's a lot of propaganda being taught in schools about how we're the greatest country in the world, which I don't know. I'm probably losing viewers right now because I'm saying this, but whatever. I think the people, we make up the greatest country in the world, but our government is separate. And that
Great save.
yeah.
They're back now. No, I know. I get what you're saying. I mean, you can't. You can think that you're the greatest country in the world, but you don't put blinders on saying that for some reason we're risen above all other nations and they're all inferior for some reason. I don't believe that. I mean, if you read the Christian books, you really shouldn't believe that. But it makes you double check things and look at things you thought were solid, and you start seeing cracks and things
Yeah.
and illusions. And no, I completely agree with you. I mean, I love the country. The principles of the country are good, but the people who run it are not always good.
Right.
So we can agree on that. That won't lose too many people. I mean, there's some people that just America's great. I think if they think about it, there's always things about America they would change. There goes all the viewers. Well, I went down to 4. Wow, that's less than when I do talk about the Bible. Let's turn to our books and everybody's gone. Oh man, I know there was something else. Someone. Oh yeah, well, this is kind of. We've been talking so long about other stuff, what it uses as a diversion. This is a poll I put up on YouTube. Can you learn enough from YouTube to repair residential HVAC systems? And it was pretty down the middle, actually. I want to use residential because I wanted to kind of imply that they were more simple systems. So, do you think that if you just started watching YouTube after, I don't know, a month, you could fix your AC if it felt within reason? You're not brazing stuff together, maybe like electrical failure.
I think 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think customers do all the time.
Yeah, I think so
Or
too.
homeowners, not customers, right?
DIYers,
Yeah.
the good DIYers. Yeah, I think so too. I think outside of the refrigerant circuit, they could probably do most of the stuff with just a little bit of studying. But we're mechanically inclined is why we're in the field anyway. So we can say that knowing how our minds work. But some of these people, they're gonna die.
Actually, quick story on that. Are you familiar with Dustin Cole?
I am somewhat, yeah.
So he was telling me a story. He had a customer call him. They wanted to buy a capacitor from him after hours, and the customer went over to his house and bought the capacitor. He explained to him he had to turn off the power, discharge it, whatever else. Um, Later on, he found out he got a service call from the same house. It was his wife or mother or whatever. The dude died. The disconnect was bypassed and the dude died. It's not funny, but he died
No, it's
changing the capacitor. And Dustin went out and ran a service call on the same system the guy got killed on.
so. Oh my gosh. So how badly did that affect him? Did he feel responsible for it? I mean, I know he didn't cause the guy to want to do that, but I'm just saying, did he carry that with him for a while, or
He
what?
said it. He felt terrible about it. He obviously he didn't charge the lady to fix it. I don't know if she was aware that it was the same guy or what. I don't really remember all the details, but yeah, he felt awful about it.
He don't go over there and bring it up.
Yeah,
I don't know if you knew this, but he talked to me right before.
I
don't think
sold
so.
him the capacitor. It's like
Yeah, yeah. That's my sticker on there. He called me. Yeah, that's horrible. I've never heard of a story where there's that direct link like that. I know people work on there and stuff. Like, would you even advise somebody of that?
no, I don't. I refuse to even entertain the phone conversation of selling somebody a part. You know what I mean? It's like no, it's not. I'm not going to sit around and wait for you. I have other things to do to, sell to you for $50 or whatever. I don't know.
Right. That's tough. Yeah, you say strangers call, that's easy. But and your family's in the business. My family's in the business. What if you had like a cousin call you? Just tell me how to fix it, man. It's fine. It's like, no, I can't do that, man. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I hate you. Okay.
I don't
but
know. You always know when that conversation's happening because you get like the phone call from the relative that you haven't talked to in 2 years, or your friend that you haven't
Yeah.
seen since high school. Like, hey, how you doing? What's new? Hey, my air
Well-
conditioner's broken.
yeah. Sometimes I know in a couple of cases I've cut people off. I didn't cut them off in a rude way, but they would say, "How's it going?" I was like, "Is AC not working, huh?" They'd be like, "Yeah, we got a problem. It's running all the time now. It's still not cool inside." Yep. Yeah. The outside unit's going, but nope. I'll be over there. Yeah. That's tough. It's tough dealing with people like that because, there's a couple times when, I'd be like, "Yeah, you can probably fix it. Go on out there. You got this. You got this. Don't blame me for nothing." Good grief. So Adam, I know. Let's see. I can't see well, but I know we have like 5 more minutes till Misfits comes on. So let's see. Adam, is there anything you want to talk about? I need to be, like throw it out there.
I think it's appropriate to, I know we joke about it on the show a lot or whatever about like, we got fired from your show and there was bad blood between us.
I heard that last night.
Yeah. But
A couple times I fired you from the show.
I don't have any ill feelings, It's kind of like a satire thing. And in the beginning, there was hurt feelings. We're like, dude, because like I'll be honest with you, I myself, I don't want to speak for the other guys, but I myself, I looked up to you, and it was like, it was kind of like when you say stuff like that, it's more of a defensive thing. The best defense is a good offense. You know what I mean? So I want to apologize.
Well, I was thinking about it before we even came on the air because I knew the reason why I wanted you on the show because we could have a good conversation, but I knew that there was this stuff that might linger from back in the day. And I wanted to apologize to you because the way I handled stuff back then was poor. And I'm not saying I'd be any better now, but I'm saying the way that I am in those situations it could be improved greatly. So I'm sure I could have done part to make it go a lot better. I'm glad that you guys have found success and seem to enjoy the show quite a bit. And you do a good job, and you get a lot of good guests too. And I think you should have guests every week.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Sometimes you need some. I agree. You need like some time to banter because that's what you guys are good at. But I appreciate what you said, and that extends to everybody else in the group. I don't think Chris wasn't on the show at that time. I don't think.
No.
I think Bill might have been. Was Bill on the show, or did he come on later?
Bill. I don't know if Bill was on the show or not. I think he was. I think Bill was at the very end.
I think so too. And it just extends it to Joe. I know. I think Joe especially because I think Joe and I were on the wrong foot more so than anybody else. So I extend that to him as well, and of course Bill. But I think probably you and Joe probably the most because you were there the whole time, and it was fun. I mean, I like coming on there too. For me, I don't know. For some reason, I have a lot of regret about that because I know I could have done a much better job by it.
I do as well, and I'm happy to bury the hatchet for sure. You know what I mean? To let bygones be bygones.
That sounds good to me. I mean, I know, and I know Brian watches both of the programs. He said a few times about me coming on your show, and I had emailed you about it because what y'all had said on the show was correct. I mean, I'm sort of podcast only. I don't go out in the field anymore, so I don't have that field perspective to offer anymore, and that's something that maybe I'm a little self-conscious about sometimes because I don't have that perspective anymore, even though I do put hands-on stuff, but it's not HVAC per se.
Yeah.
So I would feel a little bit silly.
I think it would be, I think it would be a good conversation to have you on the show. I think it would, I enjoy this conversation. I think we had a good talk, but I think it would add more to it because we have 3 other jerk-offs that could, add their stink to things too.
I think we could have fun.
Yeah.
Whether it be productive, like there's no education coming that week. But I'd be happy to. And I just wanted to kind of, whenever I got back with you guys, I want to let you know that, I understand because I forget who said it, but it was a good point, and I agree with it. So I just want to put that out there. But I did want to get back with you so you knew that I just wasn't saying, well, I'm not going on there, that sort of thing. That's not at all how I feel about it.
Cool. Well, we'll make it happen.
I can do it. I got a microphone, man. I have, I think that's all I need. I have a light, a microphone, and a camera. So I'm ready to roll.
And a heartbeat. That's all. That's
A
all we
heartbeat.
require.
And I wasn't in business for a long time, so I do have a lot of great stories. And if y'all want to talk about pooping in a bucket, I can do that. I mean, I had a lot of outlying jobs with no water service, so I can, I can do the rural version of that. Y'all can do rooftops, I can do the barn behind the barn. So, I don't know, it might not be, but but I appreciate it, man. I'm glad we sort of had this talk at the end too. That's good, and I know that some people out there might have wondered
no
about
clue
it,
what we're talking about. There's probably some that are like, what are these guys even talking about?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know there was a problem, but now I need to know all about it.
Yeah, go watch Overtime number 1 through 25. You'll learn more. No.
Yeah, Randy, the guy that do the dog bark.
Yeah.
When he's in the thing, I'm pretty sure that's him who has like your episodes on his channel. You should probably check on that. Yeah. I figured you knew about it because it's like I'd search for HVAC Overtime to catch an episode and it would pop up like Randy Torbolt. I forget what his last name is, but it's like a full episode. It's like, what is this doing here? This is weird. It's not monetized.
He's a cool guy. We like Randy.
Yeah, he is. He always used to ask about the April Air thermostat. And he stopped, I guess, because he must have found out about it or whatever he wanted to know.
Oh no, they suck. Actually, I pulled off an April Air thermostat at a customer's house the other day. I want to make him like a little board with a thermostat transformer, maybe a couple lights, and mail it to him. I think he'll enjoy that.
I think he'd enjoy that too. A little board like that. I had such a low opinion of April Air for their zoning stuff. I kept running into their zoning stuff, and it might just be that it was the lowest tier of their zoning stuff, but it just seems so cheap. And just sketchy stuff. Just, I don't know. Oh, well. Get EWC, guys. EWC, man, you can get EWC. That's a sponsor. EWCcontrols.com. There you go. I feel like I just paid a bill. Bill paid, my friend. All right, Adam. Well, I think the other show's starting now. So I don't know if I'm going to play that song that I started with because I don't know if I just edited it wrong or what. So I'm kind of scared to do that. So I'm just going to play the regular outro, but you can stick around for a second if you like.
Cool.
All right, guys, I appreciate you coming by. You'll disappear for a second, but just hang out. And poof. So I appreciate everybody coming by. Really didn't look at the chat a whole lot, so if anyone had a question, I'm sorry about that. I don't see any orange stuff in the chat, but I had a good time talking. I knew it'd be a good conversation. I'd watch the show, and what I noticed from Overtime is Adam was always digging in with like the educational stuff. I like it because they would have a conversation and he would come in there. It's like, well, about this job. It's like he changed the subject back to the HVAC stuff. He tried, man. But the saying for it in the South is that's pissing against a train. Good luck with that. But it's always fun, exciting. It's every Friday night at 9 p.m. is HVAC Overtime, same channel name. Misfits of HVAC is probably on right now. You can go check that out. Just search Misfits of HVAC. And I'm not sure. I think it's Bill Spone tonight. I'm pretty sure it's Bill Spone. And I'll see you guys. Let me draw it out real quick so I can get to the button. I got to change the screen too. So, guys, I really had a great time tonight. And God bless every one of you.